Hello! So today I'm going to be talking about Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. I have never read any of Larry McMurtry's work before, but I do adore the film Terms of Endearment, which is based upon the Larry McMurtry novel of the same name, and I do believe Larry McMurtry, how many times can I say Larry McMurtry, was involved in the adaptation of his own novel into the screenplay. Lonesome Dove also won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1986, and I have heard a lot, and I mean a lot, of very good things about this book. The term Western masterpiece gets bounded around a lot, and it is considered to be the Western novel that all other Western novels are compared to. Now, I love massive books, and this one clocks in at around 860 pages, and I do really enjoy Westerns, although it's not my go-to genre. So I think the size of this thing and the genre might have been the reason I'd put off reading it for so long. The themes in this book are vast. We have friendship and loyalty, masculinity and honour, love and loss, redemption and regret, morality and ethics, gender roles and women's agency, racial tension and prejudice, legacy, freedom and confinement, nature and environment, the loss of innocence, and finally the pursuit of dreams and aspirations. So what's this book about? Retired Texas Rangers Gus and Cool run a cattle ranch in southern Texas, in a small town called Lonesome Dove. They decide to embark on an arduous journey to Montana in search of new adventures and new opportunities. They gather a group of companions, one being their old friend Jake Spoon, who's been living as an outlaw, along with quite a few various other cowboys and adventurers. There are so many characters in this novel, and it flies off in so many different directions as the characters' narrative arcs start to overlap and impact the story in varying ways. As the cattle drive progresses, the stakes become higher as the group faces escalating dangers and conflicts. Lives are lost and the characters are forced to face their own morality and the consequences of their actions. The journey ultimately becomes a test of endurance, honour, and the strength of their bonds. So what did I like and what didn't I like? What I liked. I loved, and I mean loved, the characters. So utterly compelling. As already mentioned, the novel features a rich palette of complex characters, all extremely, and I mean extremely well-rounded, with their unique personalities, aims, ambitions, and goals. I love the dynamic relationship between Gus and Cool. It is the absolute heart of this novel. The plot is extremely engaging and filled with excitement as the characters face varying challenges along the way, including dangerous conflicts with outlaws, varying weather changes, and also internal conflicts between the group of cowboys themselves. The writing is brilliant, vibrant descriptions and absolutely fantastic dialogue. The setting felt beautifully authentic. McMurtry vividly portrays the untamed American West of the 1880s, painting a realistic picture of the era's rustic landscapes, the dusty towns, and harsh realities of life on the frontier. I loved how the novel was willing to explore the often brutal and gritty aspects of the Wild West, presenting a realistic portrayal of violence, death, and the consequences of living in such a harsh landscape. The novel isn't afraid to go to some pretty dark places, so I would suggest if you're interested, definitely look up some of the content warnings for this one. I love how the novel explores masculinity of the Wild West of that time, what it took at that time to be a man, what it means to survive such an unforgiving environment, and I love how all the male characters have a different perspective and a different grapple on what it means to be a man. And despite the predominantly male-predominated world of the Wild West, this novel includes several fantastic and well-rounded female characters. Now, on paper, the female characters feel like they slot into a very tired Western trope. But as the novel progresses, all the female characters challenge the ideas of what we, the reader, or what the Wild West itself expected of women at that time, and I loved it for it. I wasn't expecting this novel to go to the emotional depths that it did. Love, loss, grief, death, all of those things play key roles in every character's journey, and the emotional layering, it just builds and builds and builds. The complexity of it is so vast, and by the time you get to the very end, you are overwhelmed by everything that's happened, the journey you've been on, the emotional roller coaster that's taken place. Just fantastic. I like the social commentary that is also at play. It is very subtle, but McMurtry is using the American West to explore themes of race, gender equality, and the displacement of Native Americans. Now, this social commentary on paper, what you're actually reading, is very, very subtle. But what McMurtry is doing is he is allowing space between the lines for those things to resonate. He isn't explicitly telling you these things, but he is mentioning, he is shifting the story in a way that allows light and allows you to kind of figure these things out for yourself. Some people might want that commentary to be a bit more prominent in the text itself, but honestly, as you go through this novel, you will start to feel those things. You will start to understand those things coming through. What didn't I like? Do you know what? There's nothing really I didn't like, but I do have one thing that I think readers should know. This novel is massive and it is a slow burn, and I mean a slow burn. I heard some people talking that it takes about 100 pages to get going. That wasn't my experience. I wasn't hooked into this novel until the 200 to 250 page point. That's how long this novel took to work its magic on me. And if you are an impatient reader, someone who wants to be able to get in and get connected with the characters really quickly, you might not have that experience with this book. So I would just say, go in knowing that it's going to take you a long time to absolutely warm up to it. Readers are different in varying different degrees. Some people, it might only take 20 to 50 pages to be hooked with this book and the characters within it. But from my experience, yeah, it was much more near the 200 page point that it absolutely grabbed me. I thought this book was fantastic, and I'm going to give it 5 stars out of 5. But to answer the question and the title of this video, is Lonesome Dove a Western masterpiece? And I'm not too sure, but I can tell you this, it is the best Western novel I have ever read. Now, this book is a part of a series, but I do believe that this one is the one that stands head and shoulders above the rest, but everyone has said that the other books are also excellent. So, have you read this absolute beast of a Western novel? And if so, what did you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did it take you as long as it took me to get into it? Or did it grab you from the start? Please let me know in the comments below. And a follow-up question would be, what do you consider to be some of the best pieces of Western fiction ever written? Maybe give me your top 3 down below. I would love to know. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. And as always, I hope you're well, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye.